Hello everybody and welcome back to Dorky Dad Gaming. Today we're going to do a little throwback to a game released a few years ago. I think it was back in March 2019, and the game is Generation Zero. The game came out for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, like I said, back in March of 2019. It is a first-person shooter that is co-op up to 4 player. The developer and publisher is Avalanche Studios. Now, many of you guys may have already played this game or may be familiar with it. However, for me, guys, it was entirely new. I found this little gem on Xbox Game Pass, just looking through there one day to see what was new. And to be honest, I really enjoyed it overall. So, to set the stage for the game, guys, it kind of takes place in 1980s Sweden. Not your typical zombie apocalypse game, which is kind of nice. This time we must deal with the taking over of machines, and we got to deal with the machines and kind of what's going on there. So it's kind of nice, little different setup here. So guys, I'm just going to give you a few pros and cons that I thought that we've experienced in the game so far. So there's a lot to like in this game, guys, for sure. First off, the character creation does allow for some customization before you even begin your journey. However, along the way, you can loot different suitcases, backpacks, etc., to find different articles of clothing like gloves and hats and helmets, boots, pants, jackets, you name it. Just kind of mix things up and kind of enjoy throughout the journey. Just something kind of neat to throw in there. Now, secondly, we played this game co-op. So all of it's been co-op so far, which has been a lot of fun. I think the game would definitely still be appealing going at it solo. But with a friend or two, guys, it just makes the experience that much better, in my opinion. And next, the world is fairly large, and the game is open world. So you can basically roam about however you see fit, which I personally appreciate in these type of games. The quest line also keeps you moving, and there are normally several enemies to fight along the way, and especially when you get to the quest side itself. Now, the game does a good job of mixing up loot along the way. Not only are there, there's several weapons to choose from, but you can also deploy like landmines, flares to like attract the enemies, boom boxes, exploding tanks. The list goes on and on, guys. They mix it up well and do a really good job of that. Big plus with the game as well is there's seems to never be a shortage of things to loot, which can be good and bad. But in this game, finding supplies and ammo has never been an issue. So that's a good thing if you're wanting to just kind of complete the game and play through it kind of quickly. Another great thing about this game is the ability to either stealth around or just run and gun, which actually we prefer, so we've not done a lot of the stealth part of it. When you damage an enemy, you can actually disable certain components that they use, such as their weapons or sensory equipment, and that damage is permanent. So that's kind of nice if you do some damage and the robot runs away, or you've got to go around different area. The damage does stay permanent, so that's kind of nice. Okay, guys, so as for the negatives to the game, there are a few. First off, there were a few glitches in the game that we've encountered. Some of the most common ones were like getting stuck on certain pieces of terrain when there's really nothing to be stuck on. There's also a couple of moments where we like fall through the world, so to speak. But after a few minutes of waiting and jumping and kind of moving around, it does pop you back up and kind of would seemingly fix itself. I'm sure there's probably can be a few more glitches along the way, but so far it's not been too bad. Now, as I mentioned before, playing co-op definitely makes the game better. However, the redundancy issue is still there. It seems every mission is basically, kill this group of robots, move to the next section, rinse and repeat. It does be redundant, but like I said, the co-op part makes that a little bit better because you can enjoy it with a friend too, so that helps. So I know a lot of people think that there's not a lot of variety in the game, and I do tend to agree with that. So that can be a downside, but I think it can also be overlooked a little bit. Now, one other strange thing, guys, that I've seen is there's no swimming in the game whatsoever. So if you fall off into the water, you basically get transported right back to like where you were. If you fall off like of a dock or whatever, it just puts you right back on the dock. So you can't swim. As soon as you fall into the water, it transports you right back up. You don't take any damage or anything, you just can't swim in the game, which is kind of weird to me. Overall, guys, I'd say this is worth a play. Now, granted, right now this game can be picked up on Xbox Game Pass, so it doesn't cost anything if you're a subscriber to that. So that's obviously a big plus. But I think the game is around $25 on Steam right now, maybe. But I'm sure you could pick this thing up for PlayStation or Xbox at a game store for fairly cheap. So as I mentioned before, if you've got someone to play with, this game is a no-brainer to me. The ability to complete the game alongside a friend or two really makes it worth it. So there are definitely a few bugs, but I think the bugs can be overlooked, guys. I know the game can be a bit redundant too, but we've played many of those throughout our years, I know. So overall, guys, I'd say give it a go, give it a try. I think it's worth it. Some toilet tissue. Why is that still on the shelf? Come on, that should be the first thing to go.